up and try again.
Hello everybody, I'm Tony Lankford, the executive producer for the Actors Lounge. Now the Actors Lounge is a television program that shows you Philadelphia actors doing what they do and telling us why they do it. And we also have some great movie trailers to show you and the latest happenings of the hottest movies in Hollywood. So sit tight, we'll be right back.
Quiet on the set. Take one. Action.
I'm in rodeo, professional rodeo.
Okay. How long have you been an actor?
Oh, that.
Yeah, the other job.
I am celebrating probably, what is it, this year? Some 40 odd years in show business.
Okay. You've had a very impressive career. How did you get started?
Raising in the Sun on Broadway, the original production opposite Sidney Poitier, Ruby Dee, Claudia McNeil, Diana Sands, directed by Lloyd Richards.
Okay. And what do you like about being an actor, number one?
What do I like about being an actor? That's a very interesting question. I've never put it just that blunt before, but I guess what it ultimately boils down is the release of expression, self-expression.
What would you say was your favorite role, both old or current?
Well, it depends on the media. In motion picture media, I guess it would be probably Cooley High. When I played was Preach in a film that I think has stood the test of time and is a wonderful film itself. And I did indeed enjoy that role. On stage, I'm having a wonderful time right now in a play by Atul Fogad called My Children, My Africa, here at the Wilma Theater in Philadelphia. A very challenging piece, and I've been a part of a lot of stage production, and this is one of the more challenging pieces that I could add to my career belt.
And what would you say is challenging about that?
Well, on so many levels. It's first of all, it's a period piece in that it was originally produced in the 80s. Just during apartheid in South Africa. I play a South African. I have to have a South African dialect. It's an extremely provocative piece in terms of what it speaks of, in that it being a period piece that deals in the 80s, it is still so relevant today with what is going on in our world and how it addresses that question. So then again, making it a timeless piece.
Now, how did you come about in getting this role in My Children, My Africa?
Actually, I have to credit my manager, Hilly Elkins, who had spent some time over in South Africa, who had produced some South African plays by Fugard and knows Fugard. Knowing my work and knowing that this production was being done here in Philly, he suggested strongly that we go after this, and thought that it might be challenging and rewarding at the same time, and indeed he was right.
Is there any one specific aspect of the show that's particularly challenging to you? Rehearsal, the actual performance, or?
Well, just on just so many different levels, you know, it's presented that challenge. First of all, it's just a 3-character piece, and it's a 2.5-hour long piece. So the ensemble work has to be absolutely in sync, which it is, thanks to 2 very fine young actors who are also a part of the ensemble, Yegel Welch and Megan Heimbecker, 2 young actors who are coming onto the acting scene, and watch out for them. You're going to see a lot and hear a lot about these 2, as well as being conducted and directed by a very fine director, Blanca Zivka, who was also the artistic director of the Wilma Theater.
Okay. Now, you've done everything from comedy to drama. This is pretty much political in nature. What do you prefer? Do you prefer comedy? Do you prefer drama? Do you prefer political stories?
You know, I like spreading it around, making it look like a big act, you know. I enjoy different phases of all of it. Comedy is indeed a lot of fun, and I get a chance to do the things that my kids have always said, Dad, you're so silly, why are you doing it, you know? And so I get a chance to share that side of myself with the public. At the same time, find dramatic pieces that have a lot of content in terms of their relevance in the society is always good to be able to have an input.
Now, about The Wire, you play what role in The Wire?
Mayor Royce, although at this moment, by the time this airs, that would be ex-Mayor Royce. Okay. Mayor, I'll be simply Clarence Royce, ex-mayor. Politics rough, man, rough.
Now, what do you like about that role, and what do you like about the show in general?
What I like about the show is its unyielding, it's non-compromising attitude. It's a show that shows the problems of urban living. It's set in Baltimore, but it translates to so many urban cities across the country. And it tackles so many different aspects from the top to the bottom of what a city, not just urban, but what a city goes through in terms of trying to define itself and trying to live up to its potentials with what the problems are in the world today.
Okay. And how long have you been on The Wire?
We'll be going into my third season. It's the 5th season for the show.
Okay. Now, you're working on something of a one-man show coming up.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'm doing a one-man show that I've written, and it's excerpts from a book that I'm writing about my life. My memoirs, as you would have it. It's called Moving Man, and we're doing it premiering on the 23rd of February at Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's being directed by the wonderful director-producer Woody King, Jr. And as I said, it's been taken from different parts of the book, which I'm yet to complete. But and it deals with how I got into the business, starting so young, and what my career, this journey has been about.
How young were you when you started?
I was 12 years old as the young original Travis. Yes.
Has there been anything in the span of your career that has been traumatic, basically in getting you to start acting, directing, and writing? Has there been anything that sparked you to do that? Something that literally changed your life to make you do this?
Well, it was a seed that was planted in my mother, by my mother, suggesting that I try out for the production of A Raisin in the Sun. She knew Lorraine Hansberry. They were very tight, and I grew up in both Harlem, New York, and then later Greenwich Village, New York. And so as a youngster, that's how I became aware of theater, but was not really truly interested in it as a career, as a pursuit, until a teacher of mine in junior high school, I showed you again how important teachers can be, a black teacher by the name of Mr. Wilson, and I hope he sees this, suggested that I try out for a school called the High School of Performing Arts. And what had happened up until that point was, and why he steered me in that direction, is that I was a chronic truant. Not a bad kid or student, but very mischievous and definitely not interested in the curriculum. But he knew of this particular school and knew that I had been a part of the theater scene. And those two things put together made him suggest that I indeed try out for the High School of Performing Arts, at which time it was the first time I'd ever gotten an A in a class, in a subject, in acting. And I said to myself at that time, well, I'll be doggone, I think I'll be an actor. And the rest is history.
What do you think of Philadelphia?
I dig Philly. I've had a long-standing, wonderful relationship with Philly. Philly is one of the first cities that the original production of Raisin in the Sun came to as a tryout before going to Broadway. So this is, as a 12-year-old, was one of the first cities that I have ever left New York, my territory, to come to as a result of being a part of that production. We went from New Haven to Philly to Chicago to New York. So over the years, I've performed quite a bit in Philadelphia, and the Wilma with this play, My Children, My Africa, is bringing me back here after, I think, almost 15 years of not having been here.
Okay. And Glynn, what do you do for fun when you're not acting? What do you do?
I'm a rodeo cowboy. That's right. I say that kind of loosely, but what my wife and I, we have a small ranch back in California, and we do a summer camp for young people, ages 10 to 14, 16, in which we bring kids from mostly the urban area to our ranch and teach them how to ride and rope and give them a good old dose of fresh air and a different way of life. And that is as a result of what I had always wanted to do as a child, As I think most kids have some kind of fantasy life that they live. And mine was able to come true, and so I therefore try to share that with others.
Okay. Any advice for young African American actors coming up, based on your experience and your career?
Well, I'm very proud of the young actors and actresses who are coming up now, especially of African American descent, because what is happening is they're taking advantage now of what we have been trying to make happen so long in the business in terms of making our own way, producing our own films, starring in black produced films, going behind the camera, as you are yourself. And that was something that during the 60s and the so-called quote black exploitation days, when we were doing Cooley High and JD's Revenge and Five on the Black Hand Side, and some of the films that I was fortunate enough to be a part of, that was always a struggle, to have black cameramen, black producers, black technicians. And so those young actors and filmmakers who are taking the reins in their own hands gives me a great deal of hope, because I knew that that's where the longevity would come from, and where the dramatic impact would come from. And it is indeed happening, and I'm glad that I've lived long enough to see that happen.
Okay. And once again, your one-man show. Tell us about that once again.
So the one-man show is called Moving Man, and it will be at the Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey, starting February 23rd, and I think we just run until March 3rd or 7th or something to that effect. I don't have the sheet in front of me, but hopefully I will see all of your viewers there, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Before I go back to The Wire, I do a motion picture that I will be starring in, and we start filming in May, and it's called The Oscar Jordan Story, and I play Oscar Jordan, a jazz musician, and we start that, as I said, in the spring. So I'm anxiously awaiting that venture.
Very good. Glynn Turman, actor, director, writer, thank you.